Hey everybody, welcome to Interlude, the series where I go ahead and try to come up with some cool stuff to show you guys between episodes of other series, showing you off games that I've played or are currently playing that you might want to look at. I'm Nye. This is Freedom Fall. Freedom Fall is a hard-ish, let's see what I want to go on. Freedom Fall is a hard-ish, like, tower navigation game. Difference is that in general, you, ooh, got new levels I don't know about. In general, you are playing, on the way down, you're dropping, more than you're climbing. We'll go ahead and start at the, earliest level here. So that's our main character up there. Little boy wonder there. So, the thing about Freedom Fall, it has a lot of charm to it, partially in the art style, partially in the way the game presents itself. It's got a story to it. You will actually learn the story, but right now it's mostly talking about, you're mostly learning, you know, this weird pinkness, which is telling us, you know, what to do, how to move around. You'll notice that I'm doing a lot of jumping, I'm doing a lot of falling, and that's how this game actually ends up playing. You're trying to drop. The thing is, it's not as, you know, it's not necessarily an easy thing. It's not, you know, just a, you know, just go do this. Things will get harder as we go. You'll see as we get here. You notice that it's pointing at, like, spikes in the background that we don't currently see. Don't worry. We'll see them. They're going to come pretty soon. Multiple levels of difficulty. The game does get harder and harder as it goes on, and the game does, not only does it have more, I don't think I'm going to be able to get back up there. The game not only does have hard parts to play through, it also has challenges for you to do to beat the game without, or beat a level without dying, beat a level within a certain period of time, beat a level with as many of the bolts as possible. This is a checkpoint. So you notice that the background actually has a personality to it. That is the princess. We'll maybe meet her during this episode a little bit later on. But the princess is the one who's talking to us. We learned throughout the game that she can't actually talk. She likes to write. And she has a grudge against our character. So I mentioned dying. Instant death touching any of these things. You notice the little blood stain that's still there. So the game does actually grow difficult as time moves on, because those types of obnoxious traps are going to get worse and worse and worse, and we've got to survive it. Still here? You know, this is easy. Haha! You know. So just going on. Could have stayed in your cell. So you notice that she definitely has kind of like a history with our character. Apparently we're on death row. So she has a bit of a history with us. She has a little bit of an annoyance with us. You know, she's not exactly happy. So she's a princess. That is her. She's unhappy with us. We did something to her. Apparently she's a bad girl. Oh, that was a bad death that I shouldn't have taken. There's secrets, things like this, which will give us a bunch more of those little nuts and bolts. We'll see a little bit later what those are used for. Keep in mind, I'm currently playing on hard mode, is what this is. There are easier modes that you can play, so if you want to play through the game but don't want to have to deal with this level of spikes and stuff to deal with, you don't have to. It is not necessary. And there is no real punishment for getting killed, other than to slow you down. So, you know, you don't lose anything by dying, it's just you're slow. And that's about it. Apparently her mom is a jerk who threw her into the same prison as a death row inmate. That's a hell of a mom for you. But yeah, there's no real punishment for dying. It's got that kind of Super Meat Boy feel to it where, you know, death is just this minor thing that just so happened to have happened to you. Oh, unfortunately, I missed one. And only by going in the hard direction, you will gain more stuff and more goodies. Oh no. Yeah, the game's charming in a lot of ways. Mostly because it, let me grab that. Mostly because of, again, the art style and the way it tells you the story. The story of the game is entirely told to you by the princess in the background as she tells you about, you know, what her life is like, what she's had to deal with, you know, and what she has done. So you gradually gain that story. And the game just kind of continues and does its own thing. It doesn't really ever, tells you about her dad. Apparently she likes her dad. The game doesn't really go too deeply into the story. It kind of lets you do your thing. in this Prince of Persia style. Definitely has that feel to it. Let's go ahead and complete our level here. And so now I'm rated based on how I did. So you'll see that time 4 minutes 20 seconds. I didn't get anything extra. I don't get any extra cogs for that, but I did get bonus cogs because of the cogs. Deaths unfortunately lost me some, and there is a leaderboard that you can go check out and see kind of how you're doing. This would be my best score on this difficulty, but not my best score total. And as you can see, it's not too hard to get those really top scores. You just have to move quick, get your stuff done. So if you go look at my other thing on my standard difficulty, went all the way down. I think the only one I haven't done fully is Under Sea, because that actually came about after I beat the game. I really need to go look at that. So let's go ahead and let's see if there's a let's show you a little bit of a difference on Jailbreak. So this is the exact same level, and things are a little bit different. So you'll notice on my HUD, I've got in the upper left, I've got a bomb that I can throw. That gets useful for later on levels. You get to use that to destroy these traps. And you also notice that I have the double jump wings. These are a thing you can get later on in the game, and then you can use them in earlier levels to kind of get that get those scores that you're looking for, get those things that you're looking for. So there is a little bit of replayability there, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and we'll just go to where the traps are, just so you can kind of see how the traps change. I don't know if they change too much on lower difficulties. I can't remember. It's been a while. I think they're significantly less active. So I'm already seeing, you'll notice there's a lot less traps here than there were just a little bit ago, actually. So could throw a bomb to destroy this stuff, but bombs do cost bolts. Oh, don't want to lose that. Bombs do cost bolts, so we don't want to waste them. See, so I could use that to get rid of traps, but every trap in this game you can, well, maybe not every trap, but for the most part, traps in this game you can get rid of them simply by just dodging them. Just do not get involved, do not have to deal with that, and then you'll be pretty good. So you'll see this is pretty much easier on just the easier difficulty, on normal difficulty. I cannot remember if there's an easy difficulty that you get to enjoy. I'm sure there is at some point, and the game gets interesting. But let's go ahead and go quit to menu. Let's go ahead and we're gonna go switch back to my hard mode save here. Let's go into a deeper level. Let's go into how about Darkfire? Okay. No, actually, I don't want to go here because this actually has storyline stuff. How about Mortar? Okay, here we go. So this is actually, I believe, where they start teaching us the concept of the bomb, what it does, how it gets used. So now we have our equipment screen here, where I could spin bolts to get myself equipment. There's a parachute that slows your drop. There is the wings give you double jump. There's actually a hoverboard, which, as much as I hate to say it, the hoverboard is actually not as good as you would kind of want it to be for what it is. Now, you'll notice that I don't get punished for death, and I can just go and grab, like, all of these bolts in order to actually hit that, let's go ahead and grab the wings here, because these are actually my favorite. As I said, the hoverboard's just not as good. Whoa, how did I not get that? Okay, let's try this again. There we go, grab that. Then see, there's going to be stuff that I'm going to have to worry about, Amanda being her dragon. Now there's stuff I have to worry about where I need to actually have one of those pieces of equipment, one of those skills. I'm having trouble with this jump. You need to actually have one of those to actually be able to make some of the stuff. You might be able to make this particular jump without one. Let me see. Yep, there you go. But you're going to have a much harder time of it. I believe... Oh, okay, that's a thing that happens. Let's go ahead and not get hit by that. I want to grab that cog. I want to grab the cog. There we go. Yeah, you can do this without that stuff, and I believe, if I remember, there was actually an achievement for beat the game without a piece of equipment, which, if I remember correctly, is why I had no piece of equipment on this particular save file, because I believe I was going for that. There's also achievements for beat the entire game without dying once. Unfortunately, do not have that one yet. That's actually a lot harder than it may sound. the game is not necessarily fiendish with how it works, with that sort of thing, but it is by no means easy to beat this entire game without dying. I'm not trying really as hard as I probably should in these sections, just because I'm trying to talk more than anything. But yeah, it's yep. Not exactly easy to get that no death run going on, especially towards the later levels when the game really takes it really starts to takes the gloves off at a certain point. And you know, you hear me say that even as you're watching me die over and over and over, but the game at this point has not yet actually taken those kid gloves off. Right now it's still playing it easy. We haven't really hit that stuff. The story is pretty fantastic. It has some really cool ideas to it. You know, I'm trying to wait for that to, there we go. Story's pretty fantastic. It does a lot of very cool things. I'll go ahead and go hard mode. You notice that I am able to switch if I wanted to, but the costs are pretty draconian. So you're not going to be, you're not going to be switching equipment all that much. The game's kind of making a statement here that I should probably have picked like a either the parachute or the hoverboard at this point. That would have made this a lot easier. Thankfully, I am actually allowed to step there. And then we can go in here, and this is a little bit of a secret for us. Not as much a secret as it is just a place where I can get some extra goodies before I leave. So yeah, the story works out pretty well. It has some cool twists and turns to it, which I really like. As I said, I'm a pretty huge fan of how the princess is characterized. Not only about what her character actually is, like what type of person she is, but also how they build her as a character with this graffiti. That was really stupid. It was a stupid death to take. You know, how they build her up with this graffiti and how she kind of introduces herself and shows off who she is, what she stands for, and all that good stuff. Ends up working out pretty darn well, I have to say. So it's good stuff. Music tends to be pretty good. You know, I'm sure if you've been in the video game biz for a while. By the way, if you're particularly adept, you can usually go backwards up these areas if you really need to get some extra bolts. We're going to kind of eschew that. Yeah, see, there she's talking about her dad and some more information like that. So, you know, the game really has a really cool way of showing her off. And there is actually a pretty good story here. As I said, it does have a fair amount of twisty turny bits. Not a ton of stuff, but there's just enough. Okay, so that's the level. Go ahead and show one more. I didn't do all that well, but I did get all the cogs. Woo. Okay, let's go to one of these. Okay. You notice that now I do have my wings. She likes it hot. Control-wise, the game controls pretty well. There are some moments where you'll sit there going, man, this didn't quite work the way I wanted to. But you notice that I'm playing on hard mode, and I haven't played this game in probably 9-10 months. So the fact that I'm able to just kind of pick this up again, and that most of the deaths that I'm suffering, you could probably attribute to me not playing well, as opposed to controls tends to, you know, that's a good sign. I'm able to just kind of go around and do what I want. I'm not, you know, there's not really any death that I'm suffering due to controls. It's all due to just me not really paying attention, like hitboxes, stuff like that. If I remember correctly, bad stuff happens down here. Yep. Shows that the game doesn't punish me for my choice necessarily. You know, prisoners hate dragons. Not only does the game give you the hint that, you know, maybe this, you know, princess who likes dragons, maybe you should not piss her off, but also if you react fast enough, you shouldn't end up dying from that. Most deaths that I've suffered in the game, generally I can attribute to, again, my fault, mostly just not paying attention nope, don't want to die here. Not paying attention enough to what I'm doing. But even so, most mistakes that you make, you can in some way kind of get yourself, you can get yourself out of it. You know, there shouldn't be a reason that you should die from that. So not too bad about that. There's also been, so it's teaching you how to make the glider. I don't really want the glider, so we're gonna move on. Yeah, I bet your glider will be a reject. Oh no. Yeah, so controls are fantastic. There are times in the game where there's been things that I have wanted to do that I tried to do, and lo and behold, the game let me do it. This is especially true for a late game puzzle that's storyline related, and the direction that you go in this puzzle decides the storyline of the game, which is actually fantastically cool. It was a great idea for the game, and I really I enjoyed how that worked. But I decided I wanted the other ending once I learned how it works, and lo and behold, because I gave myself some effort and a little bit of platforming, I was actually able to do exactly what I wanted to do. The thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to get towards the end of this level, which should happen soon-ish, for a specific reason. There's another thing that'll happen soon. We're going for. Do I want those? I get that? Darn, I was so close. But as you can see, if you the game will allow you to make these like cool moves, and it doesn't really punish you for them. Like, you're like, yeah, you know what? I want to get all that stuff, and the game goes, oh, okay. Is that how we're gonna do things? And you're like, yeah, game, that's how I'm gonna do things. The game goes, oh, neat. Well, let me just help you make that happen. You know, stuff like this. Apart from that, as I said, music's pretty good. A little bit forgettable at times, but it has a cool background to it. The dev also added 2 extra levels to the game at one point, so the game's actually a little bit longer now than it was when I originally played. I'm gonna die so bad here. Yep. What you're supposed to do here is you're supposed to do this and not fall all the way through, because that's how you die. So now you get the princess, and this is the other cool mechanic I like, is that you get the princess and you're intended to race against her. I unfortunately lost against her, but you're intended to race against her and just get to the end as fast as possible. So cool stuff. As I said, I'm a fan of the game. It has a lot of very cool stuff that it does. Couple of boss fights, couple different things. Every single level has a time achievement, a gears achievement, and a no death like achievement. And once you get all of those in any given level, in all the levels, there's actually full-on achievements for those. So it's cool. It works out pretty well. So this is Freedom Fall, guys. As usual, if you check the description, I will have a link to it. I highly recommend that you guys pick it up, especially if you're into harder platformers. I enjoyed the hell out of it when I played it. Full playthrough only lasts maybe 4 or 5 hours if you know what you're doing. A little bit more difficult to play on hard mode, but still works out pretty well. It's fun. Definitely worth the money. And if you're like a speedrunner type, it has plenty to offer you. I'll catch you guys next time.